The reason this is important, because we're crashing. Like it or not, are we going to crash? We are crashing. And the question is not if you're going to crash. The question is, will you survive the crash?
In today's video, best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki warns that most of the people will gonna get wiped out. He reveals that this crash is worse than 2000 and 2008. Robert discusses why real estate is more crucial than 401k investors. Before listening to him, please ensure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.
The problem with most people is they're stuck in microeconomy. You know, they don't see the big picture. And I would estimate 90% of Americans just believe that don't worry, America will bounce back. I think it'll be happy days are here again. And as a U.S. Marine, we call the people who are stuck in the microeconomy, they got their heads up their asses. They can't even see what's happening in the real world. So I'm talking to many real estate agents here in Arizona and said, oh, don't worry, interest rates are going up and all this stuff, but don't worry, Arizona is hot. That's true because the people are migrating out of California, Chicago, New York, and now Florida, they're moving here, So Arizona is good. So on the micro scale, these real estate agents are accurate. They're going, yeah, I don't have to worry, man, I live in Arizona. So that's having your head up your ass as far as I'm concerned, because you can't see the macro. And when you look at the macro, the whole world is collapsing around them. And it's going to be good for Arizona, maybe because people will move here and all this stuff. Well, let's say that China whacks Taiwan. Well, that's good for me in Hawaii because all the Taiwanese will move to either California, Arizona, or Hawaii. So that's micro and macro. So let me give the definition of micro is you got your head up your ass. You better stand around and take a look at what's going on. Dollar crises are essential. I mean, they're more timely today than ever before. I want you to pull your head out of your butt and take a look at the world, because Richard sits in Thailand. He's an American. He sits out there and he can see the world, but Americans can't see past their house. Micro is this. You're you're pumping gas into your leased SUV, and you're going, why is the price of oil going up? That's micro. I mean, they can't see it. But inflation, I'm afraid, is systemic now. And a lot of it is because what Richard's talking about is creditism. They just print so much money. Instead of solving the problems, they print money. And now it's going to backfire on everybody. That's been the problem since about 1998 when LTCM, long-term capital management, crashed. And the Fed had to bail out a hedge fund. And Jim Rickards is a friend of ours. He wrote the book Currency Wars and all that. His question was back then, who bails out the Fed? And I think we're kind of there now. I mean, that's what you've been writing about in Dollar Crisis and the Corruption of Capitalism. Who's going to bail out the Bank of England? And who's going to bail out the Fed and all the Bank of Japan and all these central banks? English people still have no idea. Most Americans have no idea what happened, and they actually believe the Fed can save them. But as my friend Jim Rickards says, who's going to bail out the Fed? Who's going to bail out the Bank of England? The central bank system is under crisis also right now, and that's what Richard was alluding to 20-something years ago. And so the question is next is, what's happening in China? I mean, they have the biggest bubble in real estate ever, right? The Japanese per capita have the highest savings rate of all, demographically, the highest savings rate of any population. And that's why the Japanese aren't the smartest. Why would you save money when the governments are printing it? So that's why in Rich Dad Poor Dad I put savers are losers. And now American savers are getting their butts handed to them because they're going to print even more. What's going on throughout the world? People cannot see it because it's out of sight. The reason this is important, because we're crashing, like it or not. I'm a Marine pilot. I went down 3 times. And the question is not if you're going to crash. The question is, will you survive the crash? And that's why I love it about the Marine Corps. We practice crashing every single day. And so when the 3 times it happened in Vietnam, we survived. Because the question is not the question, are we going to crash? We are crashing. Question, are you going to survive? But how you can prepare yourself and profit from it. So today, I'm making more money hand over fist, but unfortunately the rest of the world's going broke. I went to school, my background is oil. I drive oil tankers for Standard Oil. And so today I own oil wells. I don't own oil stocks. And when Biden cut off the Exxon, the Keystone XL pipeline in 2000s, the first act he did was the act of sabotage, what Biden did, in my opinion. I was selling oil at $30 a barrel. Immediately when he cut that off, it went to $130 a barrel. Meanwhile, the middle class and poor got poorer, and guys like me got richer. And that's what I mean about Rich Dad's prophecy. If you prepare, you'll come out okay. But you got your micro watch and you got your head up your butt thinking, the Fed's going to save me. America's the greatest. I don't have to worry. I got a pension. I got a 401k. I'll take laps around the rosary beads tonight. I mean, historically, every time there's inflation, despots rise, like Stalin and Hitler and Mao and all those guys rise out of, hyperinflation and things like this. Those micro is where I would say 90% of the people are. And a Marine would say micro means you got your head up your butt. But you better start taking a look at what's going on throughout the world right now. Because like when I was talking to real estate agents, they're going, I don't have to worry. Arizona's hot. Well, good, because people are migrating here. But where they're migrating from is another issue, and what's happening to interest rates. I'm going to get richer in this crash, which I am happy about. But I'm concerned about my fellow human beings who got their heads up their butt. 25 years ago, when I read The Dollar Crisis, like I was walking in Borders bookstores that picked me up. And then Rich and I became good friends because, definition of intelligence, if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And then he came out with the corruption of capitalism, which I agree with, because 1972, I was flying in Vietnam as a Marine pilot, and I went behind enemy lines to buy gold. And today I own gold mines, silver mines. I own real oil. I don't have oil stocks. I own cattle. I own everything the Fed cannot print. So remember, when they say Bank of England and they say the Fed, they're the same things. And the English pound nearly took it. And the reason they had to start printing again, which is causing more inflation for the English people, is that the pensions are going to collapse. The same thing is going to happen to America because it's already happened. Now, crashing an empty helicopter is different than crashing a helicopter with guns, rockets, machine guns, and ammunition on board. But we practiced, and we practiced, and we practiced. So when it came 3 times in Vietnam, because the odds were, my life expectancy as a Marine pilot, gunship pilot, was 30 days. We didn't live very long. So if we practiced crashing, we had a chance of surviving. So I went down 3 times, and my crew and I came back home back in January 10th, 1973, only to get spit on and hit by eggs by the commie pinko hippies from the Woodstock generation. Here we are today. And there's no financial education in our schools. So that's why I listen to people, and he's American and he can see the world, and that's his job, is macro. Most important thing you can do right now.